So today might be a little bit of a historic day, and it's a historic day not necessarily for the world, but it's a historic day, I think, if you're a longtime advocate of Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy XIV specifically. Now, I do want to say right at the start of this video, my heart goes out to World of Warcraft players. Like, I want them to have a great game. I want them to have the experience. I want Activision Blizzard, to listen to them and to respect their time. And I would think that as a dev on that team, that they want to make a good game, that they want to deliver these things to the community. I can only begin to speculate as to why the long drought, why the issues delivering the game, especially when you compare apples to apples in the case of Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft, where Final Fantasy has been delivering content. We did lose some with the whole COVID thing, as opposed to where World of Warcraft has not. So here's where I want to get to, and we'll go and jump into the news itself. You can see it in the corner, but let's go ahead and show what we see actually as a part of the numbers. Final Fantasy XIV has taken the top spot as the most active played MMORPG right now on the market, receiving, or at least active players, according to this estimate, 2.48 million, where World of Warcraft has fallen to the number 2 spot with 2.19 million. I think a lot of part of this is the, gap in 9.1. I think a lot of part of this is a lot of WoW content creators are checking out Final Fantasy XIV for the first time. It's a game that can be intimidating. We've talked about this numerous times, and the goal that, at least I always try to be is very welcoming and just like, hey guys, like, this is going to feel very familiar, but there's going to be things that are obviously different, and that can be frustrating, and I understand. So anyway, welcome guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Brian. I like talking about MMORPGs. I've been an avid Final Fantasy XIV player since its 1.0 inception. So if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit subscribe. You can always unsubscribe later if you don't like the content here. If you're a returning subscriber, free compliments for you today. You're amazing. You're a magnificent beast. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. All right, so having a little fun aside. What does this mean? What does this mean for the future of the MMORPG genre? What does this mean for, the game as a whole? I think the health of the genre is pretty strong. I've talked to a lot of people who believe MMORPGs as a genre are dying, and they present solid evidence that when you hear it, it sounds truthful. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't feel like it reflects with the numbers. I think World of Warcraft is an anomaly in the equation. If you look over time, they rose to rapid success. They were kind of like that. They were prepared. They had the product. They had the design. They had the passion, and they have crushed it. So it's unfair to sit here and say, look at where they were and look at where they are now. 12 million active to 2 million active. 2 million active is still amazing. Let's not sit here and say anything derogatory about what WoW has built. The question is what are they building now? Why are they struggling now? Why is there this gap with 9.1? And I think with 9.1 does eventually drop. The best estimates I'm hearing is like August, maybe July. I think a lot of the people who are hungry and just waiting for more content for World of Warcraft will go back and play that game. I think if that's where their community is, maybe they're just vacationing right now in 14. But here's the thing about a vacation. Sometimes you're like, man, this is pretty nice. I might want to stick around. And I think when we look at Final Fantasy XIV, it's been playing fundamental baseball, using WoW as a mentor. So the language is very similar. There are some differences. I know that a lot of people feel like, oh, am I going to be called a weeb, or is the game going to be so different? I'm nervous. I've put 15 years into World of Warcraft. What am I going to do? And that's actually where I've been so excited and so hopefully welcoming to WoW creators who have been and taking that kind of jump into the game. I've seen numerous comments from each and every one of you guys talking about how it was intimidating, but because somebody is sitting here talking about it, welcoming you to it, that you're decided to take the plunge. If you're still on the fence, highly recommend the free trial. Yes, there are some limitations, but you can play all the way through Heaven's Word up to level 60. I'll try to include a link in the description if you want to get started. Honestly, if you're really looking for something else to play, if you're looking for just something to maybe fill the gap, I would highly encourage you check out this game. But 9.1 drops for WoW. I think WoW will shoot back up. Like, I think you're going to have the content is king mentality that we constantly tote. Like, the end of the day, delivering content consistently and at a good quality is the formula here to win in this genre, and whatever you do want to define winning as that regards. But okay, I'm a little over the place today. The question I have about World of Warcraft is what happens with 9.2? Is it going to have that same style gap? Because if it is, 14 has an expansion in between 9.1 and 9.2. Not just an expansion, a conclusion to this saga. And I think that's really important. I think that's really important because it helps remove the intimidation factor. One of the things that was an intimidation with WoW that they removed was like level 120, level 130. Like if you're talking about a new player, like how much do I need to level up? That can be intimidating. Going to only 60 does feel less intimidating, but having that claw back out of my hands doesn't necessarily feel so strong. I think that's where we're getting into lots of game theory about what's the right long-term health for an MMO. And yeah, new Genesis launches tomorrow. I'm very excited to see how that's received, especially over the course of the next couple years. But that's a whole other video for another day. With 9.1, it really isn't about 9.1. It's really about what happens after that. I honestly think the fact that Final Fantasy XIV has overtaken WoW based off of these numbers alone in June, that does prove, and that does give a lot of strength for what's going to be happening over the next couple months. Now, we still have a couple MMO launches. Like I said, New Genesis launch tomorrow. New World is going to be at the end of summer, ideally after 9.1 drops. I think if 9.1 came after the New World launch, you would end up like, you'd basically be kind of like capping New World right into the knees if they don't do it on their own beforehand. I really hope they have a good game. What I experienced with New World is truly exciting and interesting, and makes me excited that Yoshi P is talking about, yeah, they're watching what else is out there on the market, and some of the engine stuff that Square Enix has showed off. Like, honestly, I think that if what I believe is happening with 14 is going to end up happening over the next, 3 to 4 years, I think Final Fantasy players are going to be thrilled by what we end up seeing. 14 has had this fantastic story. One so much that it is not just the exception to the rule, it is this testament to the strength of Square Enix and the brand itself. Other games that have come out, failed, tried to rebuild, just haven't performed. World of Warcraft, I think from a development state, I question, are they a victim of their own success? Have they gotten so big that they can't change? They can't make these quick shifts because of 16 years of design decisions. Is it more advantageous to the WoW base that essentially they're just kind of in this slow decline march and okay with it? Like, I think World of Warcraft with Blizzard, they put out really great games that I've enjoyed for a long time. Diablo is a series that I really enjoy, but Diablo has had the ability to reinvent itself every couple of years, or from 3 to, potentially 4 decade, right? Like, they don't have that live service model that it's always coming out with new content. World of Warcraft does. And I think what you're looking at here is the potential for maybe some change. Like, I think that's why I think the new Genesis thing is so interesting. If that proves to be the new model, and if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, as a brief aside, they have a core game that continues to be supported. It's connected to the new Genesis game. So you have old, like I think pre-Cataclysm, post-Cataclysm. Like, you have these two worlds, they're connected. You can travel through time between them. Your character, like, you can do stuff here. Your character and glamour, cosmetics, all that stuff is connected, but some stuff is only earnable through here. And then this is the new game forward, so it ends up serving kind of as these chaptered marks. Classic somewhat has brought that into the WoW space. So maybe the new model ends up being that, yeah, after about 10 years, here's a new engine refresh. We're kind of capping the story here. And then the new story, the new gameplay, the new element. Like, imagine if they were like, hey, we want to do a whole new battle system. You don't have to sit here and worry about how that affects this older game. Anyway. Whew. I'm really excited as a Final Fantasy XIV creator, as a Final Fantasy XIV fan, as a player who's very excited for Endwalker. I think our best years are actually ahead of us. I think if Yoshi P and the team continue to produce excellent content, continue to push the needle forward, to make smart decisions, to deliver content on time, I think that's what people are going to continue to see. And as more of the stigma of, is this a game for me? Is this a weeb game? Is this weird because there's cat girls and there's lions and tigers and bears? Oh my. you know, as more as that breaks down, as more of the community matures, we've got a very passionate and awesome community. We also, like any video game community on the internet, have a pocket of that, you know, like kind of those like random uncles out there that are just spouting off nonsense and trying to gatekeep and keep people out of the game. We see that when they're trying to gatekeep Asmongold. We see that when they're trying to gatekeep like WoW players. No, this is our game. You can't come here. The more players that actually do come here can continue to drown that section of the community out. And eventually they're either going to be like, oh, it's actually not so bad. It's not as I feared. Or they're just going to, you know, grumble off in their own little corner of the world. Welcome. If you guys have been checking out Final Fantasy, I really hope that you're enjoying it. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this spot as it takes #1, where more and more people are checking it out. With 2.48 active million users, the question, can we get that to 3? Can we get that to 3? And so that's the challenge that I give to you guys. Be sure to be logging in as often as you can. Especially over the summer. Be sure that if you're considering content creation, jump in, post a video about your experience with Final Fantasy XIV. I think that will overall help encourage more people to maybe take that leap and not be afraid of it. It's not a game to be afraid of. It's an incredible, RPG. It's an incredible game that I think everybody should at least try and find out if it's something for them. You watching this video now doesn't mean that you have to go and enjoy it. Like, you might not. It might not be the game for you. But if you've never tried it, you should at least should try. The burst internet, the best words that he has for the internet in this case. Forgive my stuttering and general tomfoolery. All right, top link in the description, guys. If you need anything, we got guides, all different kinds of news posts, opinions, and things like that. Love to help you get started. If you're struggling with the game, you can always reach out. If you're looking for people to play, you can always check out our Discord. That's pretty much going to be it for the video. I really hope you subscribe. I hope you like, hope you share. For the 14 community, that's how you help promote the game. You don't have to do it for me, but if there's a content creator that you enjoy, doing that for them helps put them out in the world and makes, if they're trying to do this as a full-time thing, I am not. I'm trying to fund a video game, but we'll talk more about that later. They're trying to do that full time. Doing that helps support them. It's, it is part of the YouTube aspect. It is part of the content creation side of things. And that's one of the things that, like, if Bellular's posting about Final Fantasy XIV, if Asmongold is, if a creator that's a big preach, like, I don't know all the WoW creators. I'm sorry, I'm just not into that community. But if these more people come on board and you guys watch that content, that helps encourage them to make more of that content. It's just kind of how it works when it comes down to content creation. So hopefully you check those out as well, and be very welcoming. And and if you're new, feel free to always ask questions. We're here to help hopefully make this transition a little bit easier. And even if you're just staying around for a while, we're glad you're here, and we hope that you have a good time. But we're going to wrap up. Thanks, guys, for watching this opinion coffee chat without any coffee today. So it is what it is. Thanks for being here. Hopefully you have a fantastic day. Hope to see you in my next video. Until then, take care.